This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So in the last session, we were discussing about introduction to SQL Server, MSBI and Power BI. What are all the courses we are going to discuss in this training? All those things we discussed in the first session. So in this course, we are primarily focusing on the SQL part, and the SQL Server contains SQL and T-SQL. And after completion of the SQL T-SQL, we are going to focus on MSBI. MSBI contains SSIS, SSRS and SSES. And then after Power BI. So what I'm going to do now, first I'm going to start with this SQL Server. To start with the SQL Server, what are all the softwares required to practice the SQL related tools? There are two things required primarily to start the SQL Server. One is SQL Server, another one is SQL Server Management Studio. So if you are installing a SQL Server and if you want to store the database and writing a SQL queries and to interact with the SQL Server, you need this SQL Server Management Studio. SQL Server Management Studio is a developer tool to connect to the SQL Server. Let's say, for example, this is my computer. In this computer, I can install a SQL Server a many number of times. I can install 32 times the same SQL Server in the same machine. I can install in a single computer 32 times same software. But each time when I'm going to install the SQL Server, I will give a different naming for the installation. Because you need to provide the different naming convention or the instance name or the installation name, the event what you are going to do over here, it's an installation. So every time when you are performing the installation, you need to give a different name for that installation. That is called instance name. So what I'm going to do here, when I'm installing the same SQL Server software in a single machine, I'm going to give different name. So this is how I have installed already 4 to 5 times in my computer for this SQL Server. So if you want to connect to this SQL Server, whatever you install, you need a tool that is nothing but SQL Server Management Studio. By using the SQL Server Management Studio, you can connect to the SQL Server installation, whatever you did. If you want to connect to this one, you can. from the same SQL Management Studio tool you don't need to install multiple management studios in your computer. So I install a SQL Server and the name I'm going to give it as a classes 1, and your server name after you are installing in your local computer, that will come like this. Your computer name slash classes 1. So this is how it will come. Your computer name slash the instance name. And when you are doing installation second time, again it will come like this. Your computer name slash, and the second time when I am installing, I will give a different instance name over here. Okay, I will give a different instance name over here. So this is how I can install more than one time in my computer. So you need a SQL Server and you need a SQL Server Management Studio. The SQL Server, what we are installing in our local machines, it also includes SSIS, SSAS also. When you are going to install MSBI, it required SSIS, SSRS and SSAS. This SQL Server installation, when you are performing on your machine, if you want to install SSIS, nothing but integration services, it's a ETL tool. And if you want analysis services, it's an analysis services tool. That's what we discussed in the last sessions. If you see the architecture of the MSBI business intelligence, all the data will come into from the ATM machines backend databases. By using a SSIS tool, we are going to load the data from data sources into a SQL Server data warehousing. Then we will design the reports by using SSRS, and we will load the data into a cube database by using SSAS. That is the another kind of storage system for more faster the querying of the data into your report. So we need a SQL Server to store the data. We need SSIS to perform the ETL, loading data from multiple places into one place. We need a reporting tool SSRS to design the reports, and analysis services to store the data for more faster access. So what I'm trying to do over here, we are trying to install a SQL Server, and at the same time I'm going to install SSIS and SSAS also, because I don't want to do in future again the installation for this SSIS and SSAS. Your SQL Server software contains this SSIS and SSAS also. There is a choice. If you want to install, you can. If you don't want, and if you want to install later also, you can install. That's not a problem. Okay. SSRS you need to install separately. It's a separate installation. It will not include inside your SQL Server. So you are installing SQL Server, SSIS, SSAS, and later if you want, you can install SSRS. These are all the servers. SQL Server, SSIS stands for Integration Services. This is Analysis Services. This is Reporting Services. If you want to connect to the SQL Server, you need SQL Server Management Studio to write down the SQL queries and all those things. And if you want to develop something related to SSIS and SSES and SSRS, you need SQL Server data tools for Visual Studio. This is SQL Management Studio, SQL Server Management SQL Server Management Studio. And SQL Server data tools we are going to install. The SQL Server data tools is completely for, in simple words, we are calling it as a SSDT, SQL Server data tools. This is a developer tool to develop anything related to SSIS, SSRS and SSES. As of now, our primary focus is a SQL Server installation and SQL Server Management Studio. If you want to do anything on your SQL Server, you have to do that through SQL Management Studio. Whatever the operations you are performing on the SQL Management Studio, that will affect in your SQL Server. So you have so many apartments inside a gated community. If you want to enter into that gated community and to reach any home, any apartment, you need one gateway. So similarly here also, in your local computer, you have a many SQL servers installed. See, server is nothing but a computer. Inside that computer, you are installing the SQL software. Okay, so your server name is nothing but your computer name. When you are doing the same thing multiple times, then you are giving different names for the computer. Computer name is same, the installation name we are giving each time different names. Okay, so first we need to download the SQL Server and we need to install the SQL Server. Then we need to download SQL Management Studio and we need to install. So we have a different kind of versions and editions in the SQL Server. SQL Management Studio also having a different version. We don't have edition. What is the difference between a version and edition? The difference between the edition and version is when there is a new model is coming, that is called new model, in the sense 2005 SQL Server 2005. 2005 is a version, and SQL Server 2008, SQL Server 2012, 2014, 2016, 2019 is the latest version. A simple example, Maruti Suzuki 2012 is a version. So the vehicle introduced in the 2012, again they released a new version 2013, again 2014, now it's a 2020 version. But Maruti Suzuki contains different editions like XLI, VXI, VDI. So this is how we have a different kind of editions. So the difference between the editions is the XLI version contains limited features. VXI edition contains some more features. For example, I have a budget 5 lakhs only, and I don't require any AC or fog lights in my car. Then within 5 lakhs budget, by missing these two features like AC, don't contain AC, and fog lights, so we will choose XLI edition. If you want those two options also, you can go with VXI edition. So the same XLI edition we have in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2020. So each year when there is a new model, new version is coming, and each year it contains XLI, VXI, VDI. So similarly, in SQL Server also, we have different years of the versions and different editions. We have different kind of editions like a SQL Developer Edition, SQL Business Edition, SQL Enterprise Edition, SQL Evolutionary Edition, SQL Express Edition. Okay, so this is how we have different kind of editions available and versions available. I hope you understand what is a version and what is a edition. In interview, they will ask a question, what version of the SQL edition? Mostly 16th version we are working. Currently we have 2019 version. But many projects are contains 2016. There are some projects like a migration. What is the meaning of migration projects? Means a company implemented a project in 2014 with the version of 2014 version. Now we are in 2019. So we want to migrate everything from 2014 version to 2019 version. Got it? Okay. In this training, we are going to install 2019 version and evolutionary edition. This is the one I am going to use. But features wise, we don't see any differences. SQL Server Evolutionary Edition 2019 version. This is the latest version. In interview, if they're asking a question, you can tell them 2016 we were using. Don't worry, there is no differences. So what things we need first? We need to download SQL Server Evolutionary Edition 2019. So simply go to Google, try to download the SQL Server download. So click on the SQL Server Downloads Microsoft, the first link. I will ping this link in the chart. You guys can take from there. So SQL Server is a system contains database. Database contains tables. Tables contains columns and rows. The rows is nothing but your actual data. If you want to see the data what is stored inside this tables database in SQL Server, you can write down a SQL queries, that is called SQL language. If I want to speak with you, either you can understand in Telugu or English. If I am speaking in a different language, you are not able to understand. Similarly, SQL Server also can able to understand only SQL language. If you want to speak with a SQL server, then you require SQL language, because only SQL language a database SQL server can able to understand, and it will give answers to your questions. I want to understand total how much salary I am paying to my employees in my company. I have a database. Inside the database, I have all the employees information. So then we are writing a query and we are asking a question in a language whichever is understandable by your SQL, whichever is understandable by your SQL server, that is SQL language. So we are going to learn a new language along with our existing languages, Telugu, English, Hindi, SQL. But this language can able to understand by only your SQL server. So first download the SQL server. I'm going to install SQL Server 2019 on premises. What is this version? It's 180 days free trial. And what are the prerequisites to install this one is Windows operating system 10. Windows operating system 10 is mandatory, required to install this one. And there is a developer edition, express edition. No problem, you can take any of one. So I'm just trying to click on this download free trial version. So it is asking to fill some basic information. You can provide any information, your name and your first name, last name and email ID, your mobile number, and you can give your company name, and you can select any of the role and your country name. Then submit it. So once you are submitting, it is giving an option to download now. So click on download now. So I'm pinging this one. So it's downloaded a executable file. I'm pinging this server download SQL Server link. In the GoToMeeting chat. So please take from there and start the download. Please do right away, everyone. I will ask randomly wants to share your screen. Please start the download. Okay. So now I will go to the downloads folder. Under the downloads folder, see I downloaded this one, SQL 2019 SSEI Evolutionary Edition. So I downloaded it multiple times on my computer. Then simply go over here. Yeah, see this one, SQL 2019 SSEI Evolutionary Edition 2. So I'm going to install the SQL Server. How to install the SQL Server? The executable file, whatever you downloaded just now, just double click on it. Click yes. If you want to take the steps, you can take your own notes, take a book and try to write down the step 1, step 2, step 3, or you can keep your mobile phone, take the screenshot. Okay, this is not the correct one. I will try with this one. This is also, please download again. Okay, I will try with the one, whatever we just downloaded. I will try with this one. Click yes. So it will try to download all the required files. So here you need to select a custom. Custom is, if you're selecting the custom, whatever the features you want to install, you can select. If you're selecting the basic, it will just install a SQL part. It will just install a SQL part. Just click on the custom over here. Click on install. Please start the installation, everyone. So it needs to be downloaded. Anybody wants to install on your machine? I have already installed on my machine. This is the 6th time I'm going to install. I will show you that one. And today morning also I did this installation. I don't know how much time it will take. Definitely it will take some time. I have already downloaded a file instead of doing again and again. So you cannot install the same thing at the same time. So anybody completed already this part, downloading install package? If yes, please share your screen, then we can demonstrate on your machine. Don't worry, you can install 2016, 17 or 19, no problem. I don't see 2018 version. Someone is telling I have installed 2018. There is no SQL Server version 2018. We have 2017, then 2019. 2018 is a SQL Management Studio version we have. Management Studio also having different versions, but there is no editions. SQL Server Management Studio. Anybody wants to do the installation on our machine? Who wants to share your screen? Anybody wants to share your screen? Any questions meanwhile from anyone? Okay, I want to pause this one and cancel because I don't want to download this one. I will go back to downloads folder. I will try to find out the one we installed and it's already downloaded. Give me a second. I will try with this one. All right. See, it's already downloaded file. So I'm going to use this one. This is a 2017 version, not the 19 version. No problem. You can install either 2019 or 17, whatever. So once you are opening that file, it's already downloaded. This is the window will come. But if this is the first time, it will take to extract and download the files from the internet. I did that part as well already. So that is the reason this 2017 version is coming so faster. So this is a SQL Server Installation Center. And if you see the left side, planning, installation, maintenance, many options available. If you want to install, click on installation. Under this installation, you can see there is a new SQL Server standalone installation or add a features to existing installation. Means if you already install the SQL Server, but some of the features are missing at the time I have installed, then if you want to add few more features to that one, then you can perform this one. Or if you want to do a new installation also, you can click on new SQL Server standalone installation, the first option. This one you need to select under the installation. So you don't need to include the product updates. Click the next. Okay. Click next. Sorry. Right. So this is the next step. So see here, do you want to perform a new SQL Server installation, or do you want to perform a adding the features to existing SQL Server installation? If you want to add a feature to existing installation, select the second option. And I did installation 4 to 5 times. To which installation you want to add the new features? Each time whenever I have installed the last time, I have given different names over here. So to which installation of this SQL Server you want to add the features, you need to select that. I want to perform a new SQL Server installation, then click next. I don't have any license key, then a free evolutionary edition I'm going to use 180 days. and accepting the terms and licenses, click next. So you are going to install, right? You need to provide some instance name as well. Okay. So this is the place where we are going to select the features what you want to install. I want to install database engine service. That means nothing but your SQL Server. We are calling SQL Server as a database engine service. And do you want to install SSIS as well? Then you can go and check integration services. Integration services is already installed. So then you no need to install again over here. If this is the first time, you can select integration services also. And do you want to install the SSAS analysis services? Select this option, analysis services. SSRS, if you want to download, you can, but I don't do anything as of now. Now I want to install a SQL database engine and analysis services, SSAS, and integration services, SSIS. These three I'm going to install now. If you want to select all, you can select all, no problem. This is the location it is going to save all this installation part in your local computer. Click next. What I have selected, database engine service, analysis services, and today morning I did this integration services, so it will not ask to install again. Click next. So here you need to give the instance name. So this is the interview question. What is the difference between a default instance and named instance? When you are trying to install a SQL Server on the same computer multiple times, by default the very first time it will take the default instance name. The default instance name, it will take the name as a MS SQL Server, but that we can use only one time. But the second time when you are going to install, you need to provide the named instance. Nothing but you are going to give some, you are going to provide some name to this installation what you are trying to do now. I'm going to give this as a E classes batch 123. So this is the instance name I'm going to give, E classes batch 123, and the instance ID also will come the same thing. Okay, and try to maintain the interview questions separately. I don't take separate classes for the interview questions. When I'm discussing about each and every topic, I will give you what question I can ask and what is the answer. What is the difference between default instance versus named instance? Default instance is only one time the default name MS SQL Server can be given at the time of performing the installation of the SQL Server. Later, if you want to do the installation on the same computer, same software, then you need to provide a different name for the installation, that is called named instance. So then click next. So I'm going to connect to the SQL Server by using SQL Server Management Studio. When you are going to connect to the SQL Server, what is the authentication? Access methods. The access methods you need to click next. You don't need to do anything on this. The access methods, there are two ways you can connect. One is a Windows authentication. Another one is a mixed one, means it includes Windows authentication as well as SQL authentication. Windows authentication means it will use your Windows username and password what you are using to log into your computer. And SQL Server authentication means we are going to set a username, that is SA, and the password. Please remember this password in future when you are going to connect to this server. Specify the password and username is default SA. And for your Windows authentication, who is the Windows username is, you need to add the current user, nothing but your computer Windows login user. Click on add current user. The password what I have given here, it should contain special characters, numbers. So this is my Windows login username. Then click next. As a part of SSAS, we have different kind of models, but we are going to teach tabular model here. And for that login, we are going to use current user. Add current user. Keep it default tabular model. Click next. So these are all the things we are going to install. If you want to check, see what is addition, evolutionary, action, install. What are the prerequisites? Microsoft Visual C++ 2 and 15, pre-distributed Windows PowerShell 3.0 or higher, Microsoft .NET Framework 4.6. All these things are already available in information along with your operating system. You don't need to perform these prerequisites again. If you are installing Windows 10 operating system, all are available. And the features point of view, database engine, analysis services, integration services, SSIS already I did. What is your instance name? This one. Instance ID, this one. Okay, so we are going to perform the installation. And at the time installing, in which folders that installation files are going to save, we can see here. Then click start the installation. It will take 2 to 3 minutes to complete the installation of SQL. After this installation of the SQL Server completed, then we are going to install SQL Server Management Studio. No problem. So even if you are getting Windows firewall warning, just go ahead. We will resolve that issue later. So this evolutionary edition 2019, the evolutionary edition we have in 2012 also, 2016 also, 2017 also, 2019 also. So someone having SQL-Day1 can install. So meanwhile, the SQL Server Management Studio, I'm going to uninstall. The reason why I'm uninstalling is just for demonstrating purpose. How to install the SQL Server Management Studio to showcase I'm doing install of the existing SQL Management Studio. Because SQL Management Studio you cannot perform multiple installations on the same machine. SQL Server you can. So meanwhile, how to download SQL Management Studio? Go to Google, SQL Management Studio download. Click on this download SQL Server Management Studio. Just come down. See, click on this download Management Studio. Please stop this because I did already. I am sharing this link also. I just pinged in chat. Go to main chat. So please download that one as well. No problem. Okay, this analysis services got failed. Don't worry. So the installation of the SQL Server success. Okay, simply close this. But in your case, it will not got failed. Don't worry. So the installation of the SQL Server is completed successfully by uninstalling the SQL Management Studio still yet in progress. I think it is going to finish. So I'm going to perform the installation of the SQL Management Studio. So what I'm expecting from you, by tomorrow, everyone should install the SQL Server and SQL Management Studio. You can only join the tomorrow session. Okay, uninstall successfully. Just close it. Now I'm going to install the SQL Management Studio. So I have downloaded already the SQL Server Management Studio setup. So I'm going to install this one. This one. Just double click on this. Yes. So in this location it is going to install. Click install. So this is very simple and easy. Just click next, next, next. So I don't want you guys to wait. Okay, it is started. So please prepare notes yourself every day. Whatever the class we are teaching, whatever the topics we are teaching, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, you have to write down your own notes. Okay, whatever I am typing inside this notepad, I will share it. If you are preparing the notes yourself, then you will get a good command on the course instead of relying on other notes. So tomorrow what I will show you, by opening the SQL Management Studio, how to establish a connection to the SQL Server whatever we have installed. Okay, so any questions so far today?
Hey Ram, Santosh here. Just would like to understand the difference between the setup file installation from your computer and the download version from the free version from the web portal. So what is the exact difference between them?
So download directly from the web portal means it will not save that download installation file whatever you are downloading into your local computer. That means setup file means first it will download completely that file. It's very, the size of the file is different, and this download directly from the web portal means at the time of installation it will download. The setup file means, the other way is download first completely the file, and the setup file having more the size, and then it will start the installation. So there is
Okay,
no, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, actually, my question is because here we are not subscribing for the 180 days free subscription when we go from the setup from your machine. So does it means is there any limitation to the functionality of connecting to the any multiple systems? Because here in your demo you have not subscribed, right? So we have not provided the details. So when I'm giving my details, so is only limited to 180 days. So is there
No,
any difference in the...
even for me also, it's 180 days only. By default, the file what you are downloading and installing, it's 180 days free trial. That's all. Because we don't have a license key. This free edition we are installing, and the limitation time for that is 180 days. After 180 days, you are not able to connect to this SQL server. Then again, you need to uninstall and reinstall again in your machine. If
Okay,
you
clear. Thank you.
have at the time of installation, if you remember, it is asking the product key. So that product key you can. Apart from product key, if you are downloading anything free trial versions, it's 180 days. That's all.
Thanks, Ram. Clear.
So the question what you are asking is not impacting the licensing part. Only the thing is whether you want to first download and install, or at the time of the installation you want to download. That's the only difference. So someone is asking other question. In server configuration, do we need to check box stating run perform volume performance task? No, you don't need to check that. How to avoid to change SQL Server instance ID after having database? How to avoid to change SQL Server instance ID? You cannot change the instance name once you are giving after the installation. The instance name whatever you are giving at the time of installation, that you cannot change once you are giving. Okay, anyhow, so this installation will take some time for me. In tomorrow's session, I'm going to showcase how to connect to SQL Server Management Studio to SQL Server, and we will start the SQL development. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please call me or ping me on the WhatsApp. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow.
Hello.